Crawshaw. And playing in the blue shirt, Ken Strutt.
It is a tail. Good game. Okay.
Robert Crawshaw leading out the first jack of this semi-final. A little short curly mark. Now Ken Strutt, the destroyer of Brian Duncan, was on song in the quarterfinal and looks to be on course again here in the semi. His first bowl will have given him a lot of satisfaction. That promotion job has solidified the one that Strutt already held. Turns the bowl over, comes in on the other hand. Not good enough to count two, but Ken Strutt is on the board. And on the board it will show that he's scored 6, but in actual fact that's because he has already got his 5 start. All the bowlers have a 5 start in this tournament. John Bancroft alongside me. Where would your money be on this one, John?
Well, I've just tipped Robert, really, but it's only by a hair's breadth, really. It's very close to call this.
I wonder what the bookies are doing down there. There's been a lot of activity in the lunchtime break. Oh, what a lead ball.
So far, he's taken off. Started where he left off against Brian in the quarter-final.
Yes. Roberts on a good road. Didn't have the motive power to improve on what was a very good delivery. Ken heavier this time. I wonder if he might be anticipating a little bit of weight from Robert. Very, very tight line. If he holds it, he's got a great bowl here.
Strutt, 1.
Not good enough to deny Ken Strutt. So another single. 7-5. Ken Strutt leads. Come on, Ken. On that. Oh, there are the odds. Yes. Well, you can't seem to see that the bookies are happy at all about what you're offering on Crawshaw and Strutt. Name a price and haggle with the bookies.
I think they're a bit confused themselves. I don't know which way they want to come down on this one.
Ken with about a yard of extra travel to do. A little bit jammy, but
One that last ball.
doesn't matter how you get them as long as you get them. See that? Just a little touch off. Pick it up. Well bowled, Robert Crawshaw. Well bowled indeed.
Crawshaw, 1.
So Robert Crawshaw his first single of the match.
That was a smashing ball from Robert there. He's reached up and hit the jack, full contact. Beautiful ball, that.
Robert Crawshaw, a bowls manufacturer by trade, bowls turner, takes very old wooden bowls and then renovates them, shaves a little off here, a little off there. The pair he's playing with, he actually made himself. Weeks and weeks of toil and careful varnishing and polishing, revarnishing, repolishing to get exactly the bowl that he wants. Fine ball, Ken Strutt. Both these bowlers, of course, have had some little success in lawn bowls, the flat green game. Particularly this chap, Robert Crawshaw, was in the runner-up in the England triples at Brighton back in '87 with Gordon Niven. Crawshaw was playing second and Noel Burrows was skipping. And we have the first sprinkling of rain here in Blackpool, which has done nothing to dampen the enthusiasm of the audience around the green. Wow. A big rah-rah for the referee, John Geraghty, who held up 2 red discs and bravely announced that blue had got 2. Forgot which pocket he'd put them in. And they do let you know every time you make a mistake here at the Waterloo, John.
Oh yeah, you don't get away with anything here. It's woken the crowd up after the lunch, that one.
So that too gives a 9-6 advantage to Ken Strutt.
He's just changed his tactics a little bit here, Ken. He's gone a little bit further this time. He's gone about 45 yards across the crown, not right into the corners, what would class as a 3/4 corner mark.
Gentle run now, stop. Beautiful. It's remarkable when you think about it. I'm sure lawn bowlers looking at this would say, oh, that's dead easy, this green, absolutely dead flat picture that we have from above. When you get right down there, there's a big plateau in the middle, the crown, about 11, 12 inches high, and all kinds of different surfaces around the green, some uphill, some downhill. And to get a bowl to go that far, and conquer all that lies between the mat and the block, well, it really is brilliant. Crawshaw asked and is told that he's 2 down on this end at this moment. This will change things. This could change. No, out. Bias wasn't allowed to work. And a big roar for the referee because he held up the right colour lollipops that time. It is indeed 2 for blue, 2 for Strutt, and he picked the right ones. So it's 11-6 to Ken Strutt. Well, your choice has got to start putting his act together, John.
Yes, at the moment, Ken's playing really well. He's leading his first ball close to the jack every time. He's putting Robert under pressure. And at the moment, Robert can't come up with the answers. And he's here again. He's played another excellent lead.
Yes, it is. Lawn bowlers will tell you that the 2-bowl game is a bit of a killer. Even more so in this crown game. If you don't get the first one close, you're giving your opponent tremendous opportunity to step in. Trickle, trickle, trickle. Might be counting 2, it's difficult to tell. Crawshaw. I think this could be it. Could it? No, beautiful road, but lacked a yard.
Strutt, 1.
Ken Strutt just won. 12-6. Ken Strutt. And a little trickle of rain here at the moment. I'm wondering what effect that may have on the game. Roy Armstrong down by the green side. What's it doing to the surface?
Yes, I was having a chat with Robert Crawshaw when he was practicing just prior to the commencement of the game, and he said there's no doubt the green is a lot slower with this cloud cover and these few specks of rain. It's definitely gone 2 yards slower, and I think it's affected his game. The players will have to bear that in mind and make sure that they just push up, especially on these marks about 45 yards.
Thank you, Roy. It's a great change from the weather we had this morning when it was real Blackpool summer weather. Well now, Crawshaw. Well done. He's made the right correction. Strutt certainly isn't going to be short with this. Well, it's taken a tram down the promenade. Crawshaw holding 1. Looking for 2. Oh, he didn't want to do that. Hasn't done any damage.
Crawshaw, 2.
Yes, he's got the 2.
He needed those badly, those 2 chalks, because Ken Strutt's not a man to let a lead go. He's a very dour character on the bowling green. He fights hard for every chalk, and once he gets in front, he's a very, very hard man to peg back.
Robert, like so many of the other Crown bowlers who've reached this final stage of the tournament, knowing the Waterloo green pretty well, been here before. Not necessarily in this tournament, although Robert certainly has. He's a semi-finalist 5 years ago. And Ken Strutt, a very unlucky loser in the final of 1982. Crawshaw needs to be careful here and not offer a wider target to Ken Strutt. Well, now that will go. Ken Strutt will absolutely, definitely have a bang at that.
Watch your feet, please.
There'll be timber flying all over the place now. He surely can't miss that target. 2 balls and a jack wide. Stand by. Dead end. Jack in the ditch. That killed it.
Yeah, that was a good strike from Ken, but he's renowned as one of the better strikers in the game. He doesn't strike as hard as a lot of players, but he's generally very accurate, and on such a short mark, about 25 yards, it'd have been very surprising for him to miss such a big target. But it'll be very disheartening for Rob, really. He's scored 2 at the last end. He was lying 2 more to come within 2 chalks at 10-12, and to get them knocked off, well, it'll, I'm sure it will be a little bit of a blow for him, that.
And of course, no points are put on the score sheet. In fact, that end that we've just seen doesn't appear on the scorecard at all. It was dead. The game restarts with the block being brought back from the ditch 1 metre from the point that it went out, and the mat is put down there, and the game restarts from that point with the original leader setting the mark.
Now Roberts changed his tactics a little bit here. He's gone further on this particular mark, about 40 yards possibly, than he's gone all day, really. I'm sure the strike of Ken Strutt has had something to do with that. He's possibly thinking, well, if he puts one somewhere near the jack, Ken's just going to go and knock it off anyway. So he's lengthened the mark a little bit, and so far it's been successful because he's got Ken playing short.
Yes. Robert chasing after that ball, wanting to see it to arrive from the backhand or thumb peg delivery. looks a bit tight. It's holding. It's holding. It's dead right. Yes.
Strutt 1.
Well, there is a smile on the face of the man from Diggle. Gracious me, that should be captured for posterity. But he's entitled to smile at that, isn't he? That was a cracking ball.
Yeah, it was a good adjustment that. He was 4 foot short with his lead ball, and he's put the 4 feet in, dead length, second ball. Excellent.
13-8, Ken Strutt in front. 13, unlucky for some. So he would be delighted if he can get at least a single from this block.
Now he's coming a finger peg mark about 30 yards toward the cop stand, and it's one of his favourite marks on the green, and he nearly always leads a good ball here, and he's done it again.
Interestingly enough, John, I think the styles of the length that they like to deliver is very similar for these two bowlers.
Yes, they are similar. They both generally like to play about 35 yards across the crown, really. Neither of them tend to go in the full corners unless they get in trouble. Early on in the game, Ken tried 1 or 2 in the corners and had a little bit of success, but he's reverted back to his usual game now. Possibly at 13-8 in front, he feels he can start commanding the game and play the length that he wants to play now.
Well, it's a cracking ball. He turned his ball over for that one. So that was 1 finger peg, 1 thumb peg. And 2 beautiful bowls. This is going to be close. This is going to be very, very close. Well, now, I would say the red bowl has probably won it. Oh, Strutt thinks he has won it.
Strutt
And he has.
1.
Gosh. Ah, that must have been very, very tight.
That's an unlucky ball, that, from Robert there. He's just touched the jack just an inch or two too far. He was barely anything overplayed there. He's been a little bit unlucky there. It was a good ball, that.
Yes, look at that. Maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. On such things are championships won and lost. In this case, Ken gets another one. 14-8 he is. And again, a little curly mark here. Almost a round peg. In fact, it is a round peg mark. Finger peg with the slope assisting the bias, and you couldn't have a more exquisite little delivery than that.
Now he's gone to the fastest part of the green just there, and he's probably trying to get Robert playing too far with this, but I'd be surprised if Robert does fall for it.
If he holds that line, he's going to be close. No, it fell off. Ken pushing that one up, saying to the bowl, turn left now. And Robert is going to put a little weight on, is he? Well, he's asking for information, for geography. Ken thinks he's holding 2. So Robert trying to draw in. It's going to be a wonder ball if it scores here, but most he can hope for is to save one.
Strutt 1.
Yes, he has saved one. And I'm afraid Robert Crawshaw, who was highly fancied by my co-commentator John Bancroft, amongst many others of this 3,500 crowd here, is in a bit of bother with Ken Strutt right now. Just wondering how he can possibly get out of it, John.
Well, at the moment, Ken's leading so well. He's putting Robert under pressure. The last couple of ends, Robert has actually started sticking hold of his balls a little bit, which generally is a sign of starting to feel the pressure. So obviously, he's beginning to feel the effects of the occasion.
Well, Ken Strutt is singing in the rain out there at the moment. I mean, there's no hold of him.
No, and he's employed a slightly different tactic again here. He's switching it about. He's changed from a 28-yard mark. He's gone now about 40 yards. Not right into the corners, but a little bit further than he was. He's trying to break Robert's length up by swapping and changing the game around.
Oh, unlucky Robert Crawshaw. Dead unlucky.
And this is always the way when you're behind, you never get any rubs.
Deserved better from that ball. It's short, but I think he may very well have closed the road up. Not going to be that much easier for Robert to thread his way through. Really chasing after that one. Little bit more, little bit more, little bit more. Yes!
Crawshaw, 1.
Well done, Robert Crawshaw. Now, I wonder if this could be a turning point.
That's a smashing ball. That he's just crawled inside that ball and fallen in. Lovely ball. That's the sort of thing you need to produce when you're a few behind. Just give yourself a little bit of confidence.
Well, 6 points down. And you can see from that marvellous overhead picture where the block is going. Going over towards the west stand. In the sort of apex between the west stand and the north stand as we look at them.
It's a very difficult mark this where Robert's gone now. He's gone finger peg. It's very fast finishing. The ball's trickle on and on past the jack there as Robert's ball's just done. And if you can play a ball within 18 inches 2 foot, 9 times out of 10 you'd count it on this mark.
Now, what happens now? Well, this fellow really is swinging. And there's Ken's wife, Mary. Easy, easy, easy. Ken's on for another here, I think. No, it's pulled up. No, he was aware of the speed of the green that you were talking about, John, and didn't quite put quite enough on.
No, well, he's in a position of commanding the game. He was 15-9 in front. There was no reason for him to do anything silly and reach up and knock the jack to Robert. Robert's the man who's got to make all the running and take all the chances at the moment.
Get him in singles. 16-9. Close enough to be a pressure ball, but one that Robert ought to be able to beat. Dropped away underneath. Yes. Robert with 2 against him at this moment. And oh, that's not going to do anything for him. Oh dear. And the crowd certainly let him know it.
Strutt, 2.
2 for Ken Strutt. He is walking away with this semi-final. 18-9. 3 to go for Ken Strutt. Well, now I wonder if... Oh, he's trying out his finger peg action. Gosh, he could be on this green 10, 12 years' time.
He looked very happy. I think he must have backstruck.
Well, 3 or 4 years' time, he'll be playing. You could bet on it. Bowlers both in crown and flat these days, starting off at 6, 7, 8 years old. And that little boy is enjoying what he's seeing here, as indeed is this vast audience around here at the Waterloo. Finals day at the Waterloo, the big occasion in this so competitive game, which is so much part of life in the northern part of England. And the northern part of Wales, of course. Ken taking plenty of time over what he's doing out there. He's not being hurried one tiny bit into anything. He's got these things on a little bit of string, John.
He's playing fantastic. He's just carried on where he's left off against Duncan in the quarter-final. It's an impressive display of bowling at the moment.
Yes, if you missed that quarter-final by any chance, he took the great man out 21-13, destroyed him with 4 doubles in the middle of that game. And there's another one in this game for Ken Strutt.
As always happens when one particular player keeps putting balls near the jack end after end, the other guy starts to lose his length, and that's what happened in Robert's case now. He's slowly, the pressure has built up, and he's gone so many ends without having the jack in his hand that you do lose your length. He's played 2 balls there, one 4 foot too far and one 4 foot short.
Well, I'm afraid it's curtain down time for Robert Crawshaw. His mountain to climb now. Oh, Lord love us. Ken Strutt's done it again. Well, I wonder if he's used it all up before the final, because the final is surely where he's going. The score is at 20 for Ken Strutt, 9 for Crawshaw. Ken Strutt needs one. That one is sitting out there on the block at the moment.
Robert will be disappointed with that ball. He's gone and placed it right in his own way there for his second ball. Ken's got one on the jack, and Robert's done the absolute criminal thing really there. Most disappointed with himself and going to put one in the way. And Ken's going to put another by the side of it.
He says, all right, if you want to have a bang, try and get past those 2. This bowl to stay alive in the 1995 Waterloo Handicap. It's all over. Ken Strutt has won it. 21-9. He took out.
Hello, Bob.
He took out Brian Duncan, and now he's taken out Robert Crawshaw.
Final, Robert Crawshaw goes out, and of course the other semi-final coming up after the break, it's Jeff Telford against Joe Bradbury. But for the moment, Ken Strutt enjoying the moment, as are the crowd here at the Waterloo. We'll see you in a minute. Crown green bowling, and Ken Strutt has confirmed his place in the final here, the 1995 Greenalls event, and really a good performance it was from him. He's now waiting down by the green to talk to Roy Ansom.
Well, Ken, you did very well there. You're back in the final for the first time after a gap of 13 years.
Yes, it's a long time. We've been waiting for it.
What did you find the green like? Were the conditions much changed?
Oh no, the green's in very good order. It's nice to play on.
Was it a little bit slower?
It is. The grass has just started to grow again.
Right. So you're going to be in the final now. Have you any? You think you can do it after that gap?
Well, got to give it a try. Got to give it a try. We're playing well enough, so just confidence.
You must be happy with the game you've just played. That must be one of your best performances on this green.
Yes, because Bob played very well early doors, and I just happened to knock 2 off in this corner, stop him getting close, and played well after that.
Thanks, Ken. Well, that's our first player into the final, David.
Thanks very much indeed, and John Bancroft has been following progress of today's events, and your thoughts briefly on Ken's performance?
Oh, fantastic again. He's just awesome today. There's no other word for it. I mean, every ball, every lead, right by the side of the jack. He's putting the other fellow under so much pressure all the time. Robert couldn't really cope with it.
He seems to have dropped into a good tempo, a good rhythm, and people need to start to sort of unsettle him, don't they?
Yes, really. The only way to shake Ken when he's in this sort of mood is to probably try and get in front early on, try and dictate the play and play your length. and break his length up, which is the best way to do that is to play him in the corners, really. You wouldn't say Ken is weak in the corners, but that isn't his strength, and that's where, whether it be Jeff Telford or the other semi-finalists, you need to play him.
Yeah, and really on this form, Ken Strutt is looking pretty good in the final, isn't he?
Well, on form today so far, I can't see anyone touching him, but
no.
a different game, who knows what's going to happen.
Well, now let's find out who he'll be playing in that other semi-final. It's Jeff Telford against Joe Bradbury. Take a quick check on their form. And Jeff Telford, first of all, let's deal with him. Young man from Sale Excelsior Club. As we've seen before, his best in the last 64 here at Waterloo, and just 20 county appearances. And John, Jeff so far has impressed you, has he, with what he's achieved here?
Yes, Jeff's a rapidly improving player, really. He's been around a few years, but it's only in the last 2 or 3 years that he started entering the major competitions, and he's done well so far, and I would make him just slight favourite to beat Joe. Yeah,
but Joe, of course, provided a surprise in the quarter-finals, didn't he?
Well, it's as though Joe's been given a new lease of life this week. He's smiling, laughing, joking with the crowd. He's after the bowls. He's having a bit of banter, and I think he's quite determined to make up for the 24-year gap.
Yeah. Well, talking of that, let's just look at Joe Bradbury's record, and we can see quite clearly that this man has got some form, because although he's now 64, he has got a new lease of life, and of course he won this event 24 years ago, back in 1971. And what a performance he put up earlier. I just wonder, as you do, John, whether or not he can keep that going.
Well, I was talking to him earlier. He's not made to the final day of this competition since the year he won it in 1971.
Has he not?
So he says, I've been close so many times and never just made this final day. So I think he's pleased to be here, but he's still got that determination to go that little bit further. We shall see in time whether he can just keep this relaxed, easy-going, the new Joe Bradbury, if you like, in this semi-final.
And the crowd here have really taken to him. They love the way he upset the odds in the quarters.
Well, they love a character as well. Anyone who sort of reacts to their shouting and getting involved, they love it. So they'll take to Joe in this semi-final.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to that other semi-final, because here in Blackpool there's lots of good crown green bowls still to come. For the moment, though, that's the view we've got looking out across the landscape here to the famous Blackpool semi-final. Remember, it's Jeff Telford against Joe Bradbury. We're all set to go now. Let's join our commentary team, who are Brian Brett and Roy Armstrong. But first of all, our master of ceremonies to bring the players onto the green, Jim Howarth.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second semi-final. Playing in the red shirt, Jeff Telford. And playing in the blue shirt, Joe Bradley. Thank you, Owen. If you'll start the game, please.
Tails, your block, Joe.
Yes, referee Alwyn Owen gives it his tails, and that means the veteran Joe Bradbury, at the age of 64, sets the second semi-final into motion, aiming for a final place after a gap of, what, 24 years, and picks a corner straight away. But knowing Joe, we're going to have a little trip around the green, like a tour of the Blackpool Illuminations. And Joe is lit up today. Look at this lead. He needs to hit the jack or go through. Yeah. Jeff Telford really hasn't been playing at this level before. May find it a bit of an ordeal, but he's a hardy type. He may just relish this challenge. Look at the lead, look at the response, and the crowd love it. Excellent ball. Joe Bradbury, who he actually won the national veterans title 3 years out of 4, and I think Roy Armstrong might just have been you won it the 4th.
Yes, that was the 1 year that I won that title. I prefer to call it the Senior Players Tour.
The young veterans. Potential veterans, right. Joe Bradbury. One against him at the moment. As Jeff Telford powers across this green, looking for a second, hoping he's got it just right to stop about now. Preferably, yes.
2 to Telford.
2 to the red of Jeff Telford, which means, in fact, while he's only scored 2, he does lead 7-5, because we have the 5 already on the board as a handicap. This is a massive handicap, starting on 5 in games of 21 up, so they need to add 16 chalks to that advantage. Stretches back to the old professional days when you were punished 2 chalks, maybe even more if they were particularly outstanding players. Look at this lead from Telford. Excellent. One of the ways, Roy, they used to find of getting around that handicap, you know, the professionals in the really old days, they used to play under assumed names. There was a chap called J.W. Witter, one in 1938, and he played in the name of Jackie Ray, R-E-A-Y.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Look at this. This is Joe Bradbury. And this is the applause that rings around the Waterloo for a veteran, and an absolute gem of a bowl, Roy.
What a bowl. A lead about 9 inches off, and Joe's absolutely perfect, right on the jack. Here's Jeff, he's just a bit narrow with this ball.
That was all, wasn't it? Yes. Jeff doesn't really want to let this get at him, Roy. He's not got great experience of this, has he?
No, as a matter of fact, this is Jeff's 3rd year with my own club team, the Sale Excelsior, and I've had the opportunity to watch him at close quarters during that time, and I'm certainly very, very impressed with his play. He actually, this year, will be the Award of Merit winner at our club, which is a very high standard. And what's quite a lot of doing, and I do feel that if he was to venture out a little bit more and enter 1 or 2 competitions, he would very quickly become one of the big names in the game.
Well, he's here in the semi-final of the Waterloo, in front of a crowd topping 3,000. Scarcely a seat left, as Joe Bradbury just picks his way around this green. Been here before many times. He's not appeared in a finals day since '74, which is surprising. In the last 64.
Yes, yes indeed. And here's Joe now. He's playing his finger peg just underneath the crown, going down towards the east stand. Got a good lead here.
Yes, it'll call for some response now from Jeff, because you see every end is going to be a bit like Wembley here, because they're going to scrutinise every bowl, every shot, because they're all players, all the crowd play. They all want to be out there hypercritical. Now then, Joe Bradbury, good first bowl. He's picked the land. He's picked the line, and he looks as though he's picked a bit of a length here. Holds 2. I wonder whether he'll keep himself on a tight rein, Roy, because in his last game he was really buzzing a bit. Now then,
chance.
Unlucky, just brushed 1 bowl, turned away, but let's have a look at this. Has it held its course? Let's just have a look at this. Joe's not so sure. He's had a look. Referee Alwyn Owen has had a look, and this gentleman's about to have a look. Now this is the bowl. Look at it, Roy. It just brushes that.
Yes, it's
bowl and then stops.
Just got past it. Would be, I'm sure Jeff would be quite pleased if it toppled over. But
by the time they measure it. But it is a measure. It's asking a lot of a man who's never been in this situation before to cope with it all.
Try the red one and be careful, gentlemen.
Yes, he's quite a laid-back character, Jeff. Nothing really bothers him. He just gets on with things. He's a man of very few words, and I think he'll be okay.
Got to ask whether Joe has had his sort of Wembley, whether he can another one there to the red, whether Joe can keep himself in check and repeat the sort of punishment he's dished out already. He's certainly bowled out of his skin, as Joe's got a new lease of life. It's Telford who breaks for the corners first.
Yes, I'm sure this is the way that Jeff sees the game. He sees that he'll break Joe Bradbury's length up by playing in the corners. But of course, to do that, you've got to lead well, and I think he's done that here.
I think he's a good chance here, Ron. He's pulling across all the time. Beautiful bowl. It's high-quality bowls. We've not had a slack end. So Joe Bradbury. From Romley, Stockport area, Cheshire. Looking to run a little bit more and more and more, and done it. Brilliant. They love it. Oh, he's pleased with that.
Once again, Jeff's made a good lead, but Joe's replied, brilliant.
It's a bit soul-destroying, Roy, that, isn't it, for a young man, when he thinks he's sort of, you know, he's done it, he's put the pressure there. Now then, he's got to be far enough. He's got to try and shift that blue ball because there's not much room to get past it and peg. You can get past it all right, but not peg. So certainly one, Joe Bradbury, an excellent one. And 2 good bowls for Jeff Telford, not counting.
And I found the betting quite fascinating for the 4 semi-finalists, actually, Brian. The bookmakers couldn't decide, and to back any of them, any of the 4, you would have had to have laid them 5-4.
Yes.
And both these players are 4-1 for the championship before this game started.
Bradbury again. 2. Oh, it's good stuff.
This is superb bowling, isn't it? You know, he's been fearless. If he'd have touched the jack, he'd have put Jeff in, but contacted his own ball, toppled over, and counted 2. Superb.
I heard you talking to Ken Strutt about the condition of the green, because I just felt it might have gone a shade slower. But Joe's come out on a different green now. That's the point I was going to make, Roy. He's been off the green for a little while.
Yes.
And it's different.
Yes, it is a little bit slower, but of course, as we pointed out, he's vastly experienced, and I think he'll be very well aware of that, making sure that he's reaching all the time.
Well, he's very motivated out there. He started off rather slowly, but I think he's getting into the swing of all of this and loving it. What a lead. He's well placed. Now we're now talking corner to corner here.
Yes, you're close on 60 yards going down here. This is thumb peg right over the centre of the green. And Joe's using his hand. You see he's made Jeff play a little bit wide there, and Jeff's just gone on the narrowed side. And of course he's about 2 yards short with that ball.
That's what spoiled it all, isn't it? Yes, big lad. Now this is the view virtually from the footer as it approaches the jack. Has he got the running? Joe certainly got the running. Has the ball got the running? Yes, he's there before it. Holds 2. Bit of anxiety in that face. He's enjoying it, but he's anxious. So, Jeff Telford, much younger man, getting a bit of a lesson out there. Is he learning from it? Just gone out. Just gone out. Doesn't need to rest on the back ball. Left 2. Back-to-back 2s. Joe Bradbury. They're seeing some high-quality bowls here and thoroughly enjoying it. Not quite the sunshine as early this morning, so they're covered up. Nothing better, top-class bowls. So, 10-8 off the mat. Joe Bradbury, corner to corner. Roy Armstrong, what a terrific mark.
Yes, he's playing. This is Joe's thumb peg. He's fearless, Joe. He's not bothered about it being against his hand. He's playing here. He's about 61 yards. He's asking how far the jack's on the green. It's on the green 4 feet. But actually, if he plays anything more than a foot past, it'll go off.
Yes. As it falls away quite dramatically, just beyond the jack. Joe Bradbury taking all that into account, getting that into the old memory bank, and then playing the lead a little like this. Yeah, just a couple of feet short, but that is a good bowl. Jeff Telford. Jeff has only won one of the sort of major tournaments in his bowling career. That was the Victoria at Stockport in 1994 last year. So if he can pick up a major here, my goodness, he's done that in a short time. Joe Bradbury he's got a stack of things. He's a veritable who's who of bowling. He's won all sorts in his playing career. So this time just asking for the bowl to perform a little better and just swing away there and try and nudge past, and does. Did exactly as he told it. It's 2 against Jeff Telford at the moment. So he's got to be far enough without putting too much in the running. Now, has this got a chance? Can this find a way through? Can it come? No. Can he save? Can he save? He might just about have saved.
Bradbury.
Yes, just one, Joe Bradbury. Quickly accepted. They will turn around very quickly because Joe is on a roll. 11-8. No reason to change. The hand, the length, the direction, right across this green. Joe Bradbury sets the mark. He's counted at all but 2 of these first 6 ends. Bowl approaches the jack beautifully, superbly, great lead. Jeff Telford responds. Can he learn from this? Just swung away. Doesn't count. Well, it's a tight game. It's an interesting game. Watching it all. Ken Strutt and daughter Debbie. Ken, of course, through to the final. Debbie, an outstanding bowler in her own right. Son Paul away in Italy. Watching it all on Sky Sports, he hopes. Now then, Joe, what have you done with us? Well, he's holding 2, but you have a distinct feeling that Jeff Telford will certainly cut this back. 11-8 the advantage to Joe Bradbury, and holding 2 at this end, unless Jeff Telford can get this. I tell you what, if he misses the bowl, he's going a long way. He saved, but he was very, very fortunate. He saved another single. Joe Bradbury. And Roy, it's going against the boy now, isn't it?
Yes, he's just struggling actually, especially going in this direction, because Joe's getting the jack in a very, very difficult position. He's getting it a little bit round the corner, right on the spine of the corner there, where the diagonal comes out.
That suits his left hand.
Very much so, yes. And Jeff, it's even difficult going the other way. So it's a very, very good tactical ploy by Joe. He's using all those years of experience, and he's coming back the other way, his thumb peg now. But I think Jeff has a chance coming in this direction. He's got to get in this way, otherwise he's no chance at all.
He's got to get in and break up the rhythm of Joe Bradbury. At 64, he probably never even dreamt he'd get to this stage of a major like the Waterloo again, but there's this lead on it. There's this lead on. It's on all right. It's perfection, isn't it?
Yes, I think when you get to that age, you know, you feel that if you get to this position, it's something that might never ever happen in your time again. So you want to make the maximum of it, and that's what he's doing. Good ball, Jeff.
Good response from Jeff Telford. Last ball that certainly is on. Just want the referee to confirm. Owen, a red disc ball on at the moment. And Joe's was a cracking lead, a super response from Jeff. But Joe again, he's got to do the whole thing all over again, get it right. Never know with Joe whether it's a good bowl or not, because he's very animated, he's all over the place. This is running, could do with hitting the jack, could do with tickling the jack. He's done it!
Absolutely brilliant.
I tell you what, I mean, that was the ideal bowl. You sort of ask and you play for it, but when it happens, Roy, well,
it's one thing to know what to do, and it's another thing doing it.
Doing it. 2 to blue.
2.
A blue and Joe Bradbury. What a little run he's on now. Wasn't a good shot this, Roy. It's perfection.
Yes, he made sure of reaching, took the jack through, sat on his own ball, just rocked it, fell over and counted 2. Brilliant.
This is a break of 8 for Joe Bradbury, from 6-8 down to 14-8 ahead. He's thinking about changing it, Roy. No need to, has he?
Oh no, Joe won't change it. It's the placement of the jack that's important. And I think
he was telling me that, yeah, before he went on. He made a couple of mistakes in his last game.
Well, he's got it lower down this time.
Going this way, yeah.
He's got it lower down but further, so he's testing Jeff all the time. He's not in the same place. He's about 6 yards further down. This is about 60 yards. Joe's finger peg right underneath the crown. The important thing here is to not get below the jack. If you get below the jack, it'll hang off all the time.
I'm just hoping that he doesn't try that one up to the crown of the green that never works in his favour. That's not bad. That's in the approach, and it's just short. He's enjoying it. So, Jeff Telford, bowl with the Sale Excelsior Club. He's probably won it, but you have a feeling that it's not going to matter at this stage. Bradbury delivers and he's straight after it. They can run after the bowls. They mustn't get within a metre of a running bowl. He stops well short. He's not sure. He claps his hands. He wants a promotion. Just a little hit for 2 at the moment. He talks to the woods. They all count, holding 2 against Jeff Telford, who very soon, unless he counts, he's going to start thinking everything's against him. 2 they shout, a long way off, and if it is, if this doesn't save, I think not. It's another 2.
Bradbury, 2.
Joe Bradbury. Terrific run. Super run. Break of 10, including 4 doubles. 16-8. I've seen and admired Joe for a long time, Roy, but I've never seen him in this sort of vein for a long time.
Oh, and if you notice just recently, this last couple of ends, he speeded the game up. And this is the old campaigner doing what all the old campaigners do. That is, when you're chalking, when you're winning, you speed the game up and you put your opponent under more pressure.
He's still got to deliver, and he's delivered, hasn't he? What a beautiful lead. Not a lot that Jeff can do about this, Roy. I believe him try desperately.
No, he's forcing him to play up all the time, you see, and if he's all right if he hits, but if he misses, he's liable to be facing 2 with the second ball.
Yes,
I think he's round about a length with this, just on the bottom side.
Yeah, that was all that was wrong. It might just, if it does peg. No, Joe's still on. He's not bowled badly for very little, Jeff Telford, but he's stretching all the time. He's sort of chasing the game now. It's 16-8 against him. I mean, we're only now into the 10th end. Joe, have you got it right, son? Stop any time now to hold 2. Maybe not, just 1. He's holding, but Jeff Telford is trying to cut back this lead, just trying to get a run with the jack. Got a bit of travelling, he just doesn't want to hit his own and go out. That's all right.
Bradbury,
that's no danger.
1.
But it's another 1. Joe Bradbury, the run goes on. Joe's on a roll. They're loving it. A lot of applause. It's a very appreciative crowd today, right?
Yes, it's a very pleasing crowd. They're all aficionados, aren't they? I know that when I've played in this championship, you feel that you're surrounded by 3,000 experts, and they very quickly let you know whether you're too far or whether you're short. Here's Joe once again, going back his finger peg, shrug of the shoulders.
And Robert Crawshaw watching it all, thinking, if only, if only. But Ken Strutt said, no, it's my year. So Joe right across the screen. Not sure whether he's got the jack.
He's altered it again, you know, Brian.
Yeah.
Yes, he's brought it 5 yards over to the right-hand side in a very awkward place.
Yeah, I was
suitable
just going to make that point, right?
Yeah, suitable for Joe's hand, you know. Just round the corner here, he's bringing it in with the left hand. I think he's got a good ball again.
I think so. It's not an easy mark, but he's making this game look easy. See, the applause just rings out again around the green because they know they're seeing an old master at work here. And just turning the clock back. He's waving that one away, actually, at Jeff Telford, because he thinks he's got a bowl here. Just run through. The great thing about the green, Roy, Ken Strutt was telling me, was that players are so confident they can follow the jack. They just got to put it down and worry only about length.
Yes, they always say about the Waterloo green when it's like this in such good condition, that the ball, when you send your ball and you think you've got a good one, it always goes a yard further than you think. And of course, in the past, the Waterloo has made fool of us all. Those are probably Joe's worst 2 balls in the last 5 ends.
Well, he may get away with this. Break is 11, unless... Well, he's flying, isn't he?
He's certain to reach.
He's got to stop. You know, he's
Bradbury,
left another 1. That makes it a break of 12.
Come on, Jeff.
Now Jeff, they shout, but very poor old Jeff can do very little about this. Terrific run from 8-6 down to 18-8 ahead. Joe Bradbury. And really it's going to suit him if he can have a quick game now, Roy, and if he can have 5 minutes maybe to gather his all his mental faculties and get himself in shape. We're going to have some final.
Yeah, well, the one thing that you don't want when you're in the last semi-final, you don't want a 21-20 game.
No, and go straight back on.
No, you want a nice cruising game if you can, and Joe's not been under any pressure at all, really. And I'm afraid that what's happening here is we're just seeing that lack of experience that we spoke about at the start of the game.
But I mean, you would call him a club bowler, wouldn't you, at this stage, Jeff, rather than a tournament player?
Oh, certainly.
So a club bowler's got through to the semi-final. It's a great plus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Great credit to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's daylight there. There's a chance here for Jeff. But Joe, if he's not on a length, he's certainly on a road. Can he get there? Can he edge pass? No, you see, it's given up. It's given up. Give up, play shout. Joe Bradbury. He's actually 65 next month. Might just be getting an early pension if he carries on like this. There's good money at stake now. Joe, what have you done? You're expecting a lot to try and whack that one in and give it the old nudge. No chance. So it's only one against. Look at this. Now this, you can't even see the bowl yet. So it comes up over the crown, right on the left-hand side of the picture. But unfortunately, it's a non-runner. It's not going to change anything. But that was the challenge they face. And it's another single to the blue of Joe Bradbury. And at 19.8, he's a double away from a place in the final, which would then make it, Roy, the Georgian Dragon versus Ken, still a member there?
Georgian Dragon versus Georgian Dragon, yes. Ken is certainly still a member there, yes. He certainly plays some matches for the team, so it would be...
Joe's put himself down. It's going to be a tremendous boost, that, for the Georgian Dragon to have two finalists.
Yeah.
Whereas you did have two Sale Excelsior players.
That's right, we had a possibility.
Well, Robert, of course, losing.
That's right.
To Ken Strutt.
And now Jeff.
And
yes.
Jeff looking
as
though he's got not only a crown, but a mountain to climb. Eh?
He's given him a chance now, he's too low here.
Right, well, thanks, Joe. Ooh, they condemned that one. That's about the first loose delivery we've had. And we're into the 13th end of a masterly performance by Joe Bradbury. Thank you, says Jeff. Keeps his nerve. This is when it's a kind crowd, an appreciative crowd. It can be cruel, but not with the underdog, not with the club bowler. We get bags of support, but he's got to put the bowls down. Joe Bradbury. One loose one, needs a big correction. He's got a nice road in. It's a question of length, and I don't think he's quite there. So we're going to go certainly to one end at least. Now then, Jeff Telford certainly counting one, and it's been a long time since he did that. Yes, they call. They're looking for two. You only got to stop. It is 1-2 red at the moment. They will have a look for the second. The geography is a little difficult from our position. Joe has accepted that one as the winner. Has a look at two. I want them pegging, you know. So far, he said not. Joe fancies
2 to Telford.
2, yes. Good. 2 to red. My goodness, that stopped a charge, isn't it? From 8-6 down to 19-8 ahead, and now off the footer, 10-19. It's been done, Roy, hasn't it? It's been done, but not in this competition this year, I don't think.
No, indeed. Well, obviously, Jeff's just got to start leading, and he's trying a different tactic here, playing finger peg as he thinks against the left-hander, right over the centre of the green, to the pub. It's very heavy in this direction. He's about a yard short with that ball.
But it's not bad at all when he's changed the line and the length. And he's got the block and led where he wants, and asked Joe to beat that. And he's not there, you know. He's not there. Right, Jeff, same bowl. Good time for two. He's kept his style and just stroked the bowls out. Sort of wobbled around a lot. He just hasn't been given much chance to get in. And he's going to promote this one. Not quite, but...
He was trying to be too precise there, to be too near to the jack. He should have been certain of missing that ball, putting it 6 inches wider, but that's what happens when you're struggling.
Well, he's still holding one. Joe's got to find his way around this. Not sure whether it will do all of that. He's certainly further. Now it would start pegging and working towards the jacket. Needs to steer away from the bowls. He's not far enough.
One to Telford.
Another one to the red of Jeff Telford. He's still in there fighting. He's enjoying the chat, the crack with the crowd. Get the money on, 11-19 down, that's all. 21 up, another 2. Joe Bradbury requires for a place in the final. And again, he's finding somewhere new, Roy, just swinging it around.
Yes, he's playing round peg right over the centre of the green. This is Jeff's thumb peg. Going down to the north stand, and normally this is, once you get down there, this is the faster part of the green. But I don't think this will present a lot of problems to Joe.
No, I think it may well be a nice left-hander's mark, but if he leads well, it won't matter. Go on, gotta run, gotta run. Not enough, you see, his left room. Left room.
Yes, he's nearly 4 feet off with that bowl.
Yes. So there's certainly room for Joe. There's encouragement there for him if he's far enough. I thought his line was tighter. His length might carry him through. And now it will swing towards the jack. Yes. Brilliant. Now how can you beat that, Roy? Only by getting
Can only play for
in
second.
among them.
Can only play for second.
Try and get it right next time, but it's getting dark. This has got a chance, it's through.
Chance for Joe here now to get game.
Yes, he holds 1. He needs 2. He needs to put another in now to get to the final of the 1995 Greenall's Waterloo Handicap. Joe Bradbury, the veteran, he holds his head. He thinks he's bowling upslopes. Stumer and can he get there? I don't know why. He held his head because it's gone in, and Joe's gone in. He's there, the veteran. 64-year-old Joe Bradbury has beaten Jeff Telford 21-11 to reach the final of the Greenall's Waterloo Handicap 1995.
Thanks, Joe.
So Joe Bradbury, the man who won this tournament back in 1971, is through to the final of the event in 1995. He'll face Ken, looking forward to the final between Ken Strutt and Joe Bradbury. And all creatures great and small enjoying their day out here. It really has been a marvellous occasion, a capacity crowd. And as you can see, that gentleman is giving his dog a privileged view of the proceedings out there on the green. Well, as I said, it's Ken Strutt, who was a finalist here back in 1982, against 64-year-old Joe Bradbury, who won this tournament back in 1971, 24 years ago. What a final we're in for. Joe is now talking to Brian Brett.
So, Joe Bradbury, at the age of 64, the final of the Waterloo again. And Joe, you're looking as though you're enjoying yourself.
Definitely, yeah. It's nice to be back.
After 24 years.
Yes, it's a long while, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's good.
What is the secret, do you think, this year of the way you've played?
The secret? Well, I'm playing quite a lot. You know, I do a lot of bowling now, and I feel at home here because I'm playing for these lot, you know, the people that are watching, and they really enjoy it, and I'm enjoying it, so it's a good combination, isn't it?
It is a good combination, and you've led well, and you've not disappointed people. You must be pleased with yourself.
I'm very, very pleased. I can't say how pleased I am, you know, until it's over, and then I'll realise what I've done again, you know. I'm hoping to win.
Well, we are all gunning for it out there. It's going to be great. Ken Strutt is a teammate of yours from the Georgian Dragon. What sort of record with him?
50-50, I should say. I have beaten him and he's beaten me, but I've been playing on fast greens, and that's when I can beat Ken. But today I've altered my style, and it might just catch him out. You know, he might think about it. I'm going a distance.
You're going a distance. You're going to go
The final of the 87th Waterloo Handicap. Will you please welcome on the green, wearing the red shirt, Joe Bradbury. And wearing the blue shirt, please welcome on the green, Ken Strutt.
It's a tail.
And the first blow has been struck, in as much as Ken Strutt has won the toss. He can set the first mark. 87th running of the Greenall's Waterloo bowling handicap. Total prize money £25,140. And one of these two chaps is going to win 3,000. The other one's going to get 1,500. And all the portents of a very, very tight, entertaining game of bowls in front of us. Ken Strutt, who's had a reasonable rest after he destroyed Robert Crawshaw in his semi-final, and Joe Bradbury might be creaking a little bit. This is his third game, of course, today, and he didn't have a lot of rest between his semi-final against Jeff Telford. And Ken Strutt strikes the first big blow. 2 he scores, and his score goes onto the board at 7, because this being a handicap, they start off 5. This, I think we said earlier, dates back to the earliest days when panel players, professional players, were handicapped in this tournament. So many shots, and since Jasper Rothwell won it way back in 1907, the handicapping has retained that handicap system. So they start on 5, but they finish on 21. And I think Joe has found one here. Still plenty of room for Ken Strutt to get in. Thumb peg, which is the equivalent of the flat game bowls backhand delivery. Bowls a yard or so away from the jack, or the block, as it's known in the crown game, can often be a positive winner of a bowl, a winner of an end rather, because of the imperfections in the green itself, which does look so flat but actually isn't. That's flying through. So Joe has not found his length as yet.
Strutt, 1.
Ken Strutt, another single.
As with any final, the first couple of ends are always crucial. Who settles down quickest and who sets the stall out and dictates the play. So far Ken seems to have settled. Joe's played 1 or 2 ramblers, as we'd call them. He's not got a length yet, but again the weather's still very overcast, and possibly the green has gone another yard or so heavier from the semi-final.
John Bancroft alongside me. John, have you much personal experience playing against these players, these Joe Bradbury or Ken Strutt?
Yes, I have a lot of experience of playing both of them, really. They're both from the Georgian Dragon Club in Hyde, which is a rival club of my own club, North, at Hyde. And I do come across them in league play as well as in handicap play. So yes, I know them both very well. They're both cagey old pros, as you'd say, really. They're hard men to shift. They know the ins and outs of the game. They know all the tactics, all the running shots. It's going to be close to call, but the way Ken's playing, and he's set off like he's left off in the quarter-final and semi, you've just got to keep fancying him.
This is true. They used to call bowls old men's marbles, but there's more and more young players in the game, such as yourself, winning big titles. But it's fascinating to see that we've got 2 of perhaps the elder statesmen of the game of crown bowls here, with Ken Strutt at 57 and Joe Bradbury at 64. showing the youngsters how the game used to be played and still can be played.
Well, they're showing the way here. Joe's using a little bit of weight here. He's trying to shift the jack.
Strut 2.
Joe missed by a mile there. Joe having to change his shirt for after his semi-final when he won in blue, and here in the final he's back to red, which is the colour that he used when he won his quarter-final. Quarter-final, which was a fascinating game, beating Alan Thompson in a very, very close and tight match, 21-19. Ken already using the sort of land that took out Robert Crawshaw in the semi-final. Oh, what a beautiful delivery. And there's about 3,500 fans crammed into this lovely arena, beautiful bowl stadium in the shadow of the Waterloo pub here in Blackpool. The skies are a bit overcast now. There's a flicker of rain in the wind. Joe so very nearly delivered a good one. Ken a chance to exert a little bit more pressure. Curling in now, turning right onto the block. Oh, missed it by a whisker.
He's only that far behind.
John Gerritry, the referee, giving Joe Bradbury a little indication of the distance the blue bowl is from the jack. Well, he's certainly not going to be short with that. But he got it. Got it. He knocked it out. He could be in with two here. No, it's just one. Hey, what a cracking bowl, John.
That was a super bowl, that. It was a well-played ball and well thought out. He knew that he couldn't afford a full-footed strike at it, so he's played with maybe about 10 yards of weight, and he's just come onto it, just clipped it, just got enough of the ball, and just on that last wobble has just got it out. Excellent stuff.
Now, Joe scratching his nose there thoughtfully, deciding on what part of the arena he's going to deliver this block. Ah, thought so. If he can win this end, he'll be on course for a mark that he used to some tremendous advantage against Jeff Telford in the semi-final. He's got to win this end first, though. And he won't. I don't think he's going to win it with a bowl like that. Got that all wrong. Down at the green side with a very closer, much closer view than we've got of it is our colleague Roy Armson, and with him Brian Duncan, who was put out of the competition dramatically in the quarter-final by Ken Strutt. What's the reaction down there at the moment, Roy?
Brian, we've got Joe Bradbury coming down here now. Do you think that this is what he's got to do to try and get back in this game?
I think he's just got to try something different. I know he's like 10-6 down, that's the first time he's had the jack, but I don't know with Joe. Joe just plays marks that you probably won't expect him to play, and unfortunately he's just sent two bad balls and he's two down again.
But Ken looks as though he's pretty well left off where he finished with you, hasn't he?
Well, Ken, I mean, against myself, Ken played very well. I mean, all right, I can say, well, I didn't perform as well as I've done previous, but Ken certainly played well. And again, Robert Crawshaw, he carried on, and I think Joe Bradbury's got to play really well to beat him, really.
I know the bookmakers strongly fancied Ken Strutt. In fact, he was 1-2 on. Joe Bradbury was 7-4. Would you think that would be the way it would go?
I think that's probably the right odds, really. I mean, I would have thought where Ken had played today, laying 2-1 on was a really reasonably good bet, really, because everywhere you've gone, you've watched him, he's played a good length.
Thanks very much, Brian. That's the way it looks down here, Hugh.
Thanks, Roy. Yes, those odds illustrate and underline the situation. if you're not a total betting man, 2 to 1 on means that you've got to lay down 2 to pick up 1 if you're a winner. Joe Bradbury 7 to 4, so lay down 4 to pick up 7, very nearly 2 to 1. And down below us are the bookmakers who have been taking the bets, and in the standing enclosure of the arena, where there's always chatter, there's always a buzz, there's always money changing hands down there. And that's where you get the most stick as well, John.
It is. Joe needs to beat these balls or else he's in a bit of trouble here. It's 12-6 if he lets Ken count another 2. Oof. And he's left them. It's a big gap this to pull back for Joe, 14-6.
Yes, the situation is looking grim now for Joe Bradbury, the man from Romilly, Stockport. Well, they've settled definitely on 1. It is 2. Wow. Well, there's one happy spectator. That's Debbie Strutt, daughter of Ken, and gosh, doesn't she look happy. We actually saw Ken smile earlier too when he came off after winning his semi-final.
Well, the way he's been playing, I'm not surprised he's smiling too.
It's a sort of giggle from Diggle as far as Ken Strutt's concerned. The man from Diggle near Oldham in the Greater Manchester area. He is fiddling his way around this green all right. We said before, Ken Strutt was the unluckiest loser of the Waterloo title back in '82 when he led Dennis Mercer 15-9 at one stage and then went down 20-21. So you can say that Ken is overdue for a bit of fat here on the Great Waterloo Handicap. Joe Bradbury, a winner of the title, beating Steve Ellis back in '71, hasn't made the final today since. Oh, Joe, where's it all gone? Where's it all gone?
Strutt, 2.
Well, it's really looking black now for Joe Bradbury. 6-16 down, and if you remember, Brian Duncan was absolutely shattered by a run of 10 chalks by Ken Strutt midway through their game. Ken came from 6-9 down to 16-9 up with 4 doubles and a couple of singles, and Brian Duncan never really recovered from that. And here already there's a 10 chalks difference between them.
I think it's got to the stage of now or never for Joe. He's got to certainly do something to wake himself up from this run of poor form he's in at the moment. He's not getting the balls away, he's not getting a length. He's got to start beating these. When Ken gives him a yard like this, he's certainly got to step in.
Close. Made a contact, didn't stay tight enough on it perhaps, but at least he's lying.
It's much better that from Joe though. It's a big improvement.
Ken's on the road. This is own. Well, in actual fact, that tiny collision with his own bowl did him a favour. It took a bit of running out of his bowl and allowed him to hold the shot here. If he can pick it up, he needs to pick it up. He needs to pick it up. And it's gone out. Oh, what rotten luck. Gosh, that was like a railway goods yard for a moment. The ball shunting backwards and forwards.
That was desperately unlucky. He's got a perfect contact onto Ken's ball. He's hit it clean as a whistle, knocked it onto his own back ball, and at the end of the day, he's possibly been lucky not to go 2 down there. Yes. That was Joe really be feeling sorry for himself now. Just what you don't want to happen at 16-6.
Well, the crown on this green is about 11 or 12 inches high, but poor old Joe's got a mountain to climb now. 17-6 is the lead of Ken Strutt. Thumb peg by Ken Strutt, and he's got that one on radar. Oh,
I think he's got homing beacons in these bowls, Hugh.
I think he has. It's I think we ought to have the inspectors in the electronics firm look at them. Close. Oh, unlucky. Poor old Joe. You got to feel sorry for him. He's bowling some good stuff, but up over the crown this bowl comes from Strutt. Turn right now. Just gently tickle in there. How about that? I tell you what, this fella's turning on some style here. Joe, you got it all to do here. You've really got it all to do. Oh, it sails straight through. This is becoming a wake instead of a celebration.
Yeah, it's exhibition stuff though from Ken. I mean, he's not giving Joe a hope really here. He's playing fantastic. And he's not playing an easy mark. That's the amazing thing. It's not as though he's going on a little simple easy mark where you can dollar them up to the jack. He's playing right across the top of the crown, about 40 yards and a swinging mark, and every lead's right up against it.
I would say, though Ken Strutt has been winning tournaments for 14, 15, 16 years at least, the consistency that he has shown here on finals day at the Waterloo this Thursday, gosh, I doubt whether he's ever put 3 games together on the trot as good as this.
Well, I'm certainly can't have on this green. I've never seen anyone play this green as well consistently game after game. It's an awesome display.
2048 set out in July for this finals day. And these are the 2 blokes who made it. And this chap bowling now, Ken Strutt, is showing that he is, at this moment of time, the best of those 2048. I do believe Joe is on here. That was the signal we picked up from referee John Geraghty. Collision, gets 2. Wait for Ken Strutt to accept it. Yes, it is.
Bradbury, 2.
And that'll get a cheer. So 8-19 off the mat. I suppose there have been more dramatic comebacks in every walk of life over the years, but if Joe makes it back now, well, it could be a miracle. He's got his chance though. He's had the block in his hand. Easy, 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 easy. That's better. That's better. So that was a pressure bowl. And let's see how Ken reacts to it. Looks tidy. Oh.
Give up.
Left-hander, Joe Bradbury, a cat-hander.
Got to be a little bit careful here, Joe, that he doesn't get too brave and just knock that ball of Ken's. That was his worry, and obviously he's just overcompensated. But Ken has actually now got a ball here to win the game if he chooses to play it. He can play the same peg, the original peg finger, play a couple of yards of weight and just try and prop on Joe's back bowl. Leave himself a double.
Well, he's looking at it. He's thinking about it. There's everything in his face, and he's going for it. There's extra running in this bowl. Now, it's gone out.
Bradbury, 1.
Oh. Well, he could afford to take that sort of chance with a 19-8 lead, which has now become a 19-9 lead. Joe Bradbury did pick up a single there.
Slightly surprising tactics from Joe, actually, because he's playing in the same corners. He's going the other peg. He's going finger peg this time. His finger peg, the left-hander's fingers, Ken's thumb up into the pub corner. But it's a pretty similar mark to what Ken was playing himself.
Just perhaps a few feet further, I would say, John.
Yes, possibly.
Yeah.
It's not a bad ball, but it's one of the easier places on the green now.
Oh, Ken hasn't got running in that bowl. Well, Joe, a chance to narrow that gap. He's 10 behind at the moment. Holding 1 here. Ease off, ease off, ease off. Stop, stop, stop. Tidy. Holding 2. Ken Strutt definitely does not intend to be short with this one. What's the road like? Gone through.
Bradbury, 2.
Well, there's life for the old dog yet, as they would say.
Well, he's reached his first objective, and that's to get to double figures and make it try and look a little bit respectable for those papers tomorrow. So now he'll be just thinking about where he can pinch possibly 1 or 2 more chalks, get back to 13 or 14, and then it'll start preying on Ken's mind. But obviously he needs to count another couple more ends on the trot.
Let's just hang on to that block, make sure that Ken doesn't get his chance to exploit the marks that he wants to play. That's the fascinating thing about this game at Crown Bowls. You can decide where you're going to play the game. And that's well on its way. Not a bad lead. It's put enough pressure on Ken. Ken unable to beat that red ball, which must be what, a yard, possibly less than a yard from the target. Oh, the crowd are waving that one through. Very nearly made a contact. It's the fascination about the audience here at the Waterloo. They're quick to tell the bowler where that ball is going to go.
Oh yeah, no sooner as it's left the bowler's hand, they're waving it too far, short, to back, narrow, and they're never wrong.
Not much in the other 2. There's not much in the other 2, Ken.
Ken wants to go up and have a look.
That's unusual, this, because with some players they have no problem with coming off the mat and having a look and weighing up the end, but Ken doesn't usually favour that tactic. He likes to stop on the mat at all times and usually rely on the referee's judgment. So I can only assume that what he's hoping that it's only one, and have a good look at them and just check. And if that's so, it is only one. He's probably thinking about having a smack at that bowl of Joe's. Although it is a good 2 feet off, it is right in the way and would be difficult to beat with a length bowl.
Well, the sun is doing its best to break through overhead here in Blackpool. The drizzling rain that we had a little earlier has lifted. Is this a sunny celebration time now? 1911. Ken Strutt leads, but he's one down on this end. And he's trying a dead draw, and he's going to be awfully close. Yes! What a bowler now! How that turned out to be. Oh, what about that, John?
Fantastic bowler, fantastic. And he's obviously come and had a look and decided it was 2, so he's lying 2 down. So that made his mind up. He dared strike. He's got to try and play for one, and he's found one right from the top draw there. Fantastic.
That was a quality piece of bowling. So he's 1 short now of the £3,000 first prize, but more particularly for entering his name in the history books as a winner of the Waterloo. 2011. Ken Strutt leads. And when you want 1 for the title, that's not a bad way to start.
No, same old story. As soon as he gets that jack in his hand, Ken, plonk right on the jack, first ball. Joe's right under pressure. It's been the story all the way through the quarter-finals, the semi-finals, and now the final. He's not giving the other fella much of a chance at all today.
It's not arriving. So Joe Bradbury has 1 more chance to stay alive in this tournament.
He's here again. Fantastic stuff.
Unbelievable. Only wants 1 and has 2.
Either side.
They're almost unbeatable. Now Joe steps off the mat, has a good look from a different angle, but everything he sees there is against him.
He probably wants to have a strike at it, I would imagine, from his angle on the mat. I bet he can't see anything at all of the jack.
It's going to go straight with weight. Now then, is it going to make a contact? Yes, but it doesn't matter. It's still 2. Joe Bradbury's out, and Ken Strutt, after one of the finest displays of bowls that we've seen ever here at the Waterloo over the whole course of the day, has won the Waterloo. A beaten finalist those years ago, but he's made up for it now. His daughter Debbie almost overcome at the way father has performed here. That was beautiful, wasn't it, John? Look at that last bowl through. He got that.
Joe's been unlucky there, really, again. I mean, he's got a contact on the jack, but the end was played really before Joe had sent that last ball. The way the ball's positioned, he's not much chance of counting at all there, really. I mean, all in all, it's been one of the best displays of bowling I've seen from Ken. Not just that one game, but through the whole day. Fantastic stuff.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to make the presentation to our new champion and indeed the runner-up. And would you first of all welcome the man who's going to make the presentation, the Chairman and Managing Director of Green All's Inns, Mr. Roger Young. So the first thing that Roger will have to do is to present the semi-finalist, or rather the winning semi-finalist, the runners-up check to the man who's done so well here. He, of course, won this tournament way back in the 1970s. He put up a terrific performance. Would you welcome, please, Mr. Joe Bradbury. Well, Joe receives the cheque for £1,500, plus, of course, a lovely cut glass decanter, so it's been a very good week for him, and our congratulations to him. And we'll just pause briefly while everyone gets the shots they want. And now it's time for the presentation to our winner. He's been a marvellous performer. He's certainly performed brilliantly today. We understand he's been in great form all week, and that's obvious by the fact that he's won. He did so well back in the 80s in one of the great televised finals, but now finally he's won it. He gets a cheque for £3,000 plus the winner's trophy. Welcome, please, Ken Strutt. Well, Ken, one of the first things you've got to do as the new champion, I'm afraid, is talk to me. So if I could just have a brief word. Congratulations, well done. It's been a marvellous day for you.
Well, it's been superb, and it's 13 years since I lost in the final, and it's been 13 years well worth waiting for.
We somehow felt, I know it's all right being wise after the event, but we thought that you looked like you meant business today, and we just suspected that this would be your day.
Well, I just kept my head down and tried to just keep going and keep playing well, and that's all you can do.
And what does this mean to you to finally win the Waterloo? Because it is, without doubt, such a prestigious event.
Well, it is the top event, and everybody tries to come here, enter the competition, and they all try to win the Waterloo, and it's superb.
And are you back next year to defend the title?
Oh, without a doubt.
Terrific. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Strutt. So, for the moment, we have to say goodbye.